My name is Lynn Price. For my Capstone Service Learning Project, I have chosen to present an oral history on the issue of childhood obesity, including data and my nursing intervention. There are many sayings about the value of good health. The well-known Gandhi stated that it is good health that is real wealth, more than pieces of silver or gold. And my own wise mother, who told me when I was raising my 7 children, if you don't take good care of yourself, you won't be able to take care of anyone else. As a nurse, one of the most disturbing trends I see in our society today is obesity in children. Why, you may ask, do I consider this among the most disturbing trends when there is such a vast array of serious issues that affect our youth? Because obesity in children has such a cascade of negative effects on children into adulthood, and its remedy is fairly simple compared to that of many other health issues, as we will discuss later. As a youth in the 70s and 80s, and yes, I'm dating myself, I rarely saw that any of my peers were obese or even overweight. We were having too much fun running around, jumping rope, and playing dodgeball till dark. But the culture in America has changed. Fast food, loaded with fat and calories, has become a cheap and convenient meal and has replaced home cooking. Activity levels have declined in the wake of video and computer games and the barrage of electronic devices that are at the hands and the fingertips of our youth. The issue of childhood obesity is vast, so I'm going to focus on just one slice of the pie, no pun intended. I want to report on the physical and financial costs that are incurred by obesity in children in America who are between the ages of 6 and 16 years old. Obesity in children has more than doubled in the past 30 years. From 1980 to 2012, the percentage of obese children rose from 7% to 18%. The CDC tells us that in 2012, more than 1/3 of the children in America and adolescents were either overweight or obese. This has been an ever-increasing problem. The American Medical Association Family Medical Guide, published in 1994, states that, even at that time, the most common nutritional problem among American children was being overweight or obese. Let's first define what obesity is. In adults, defining obesity is derived from calculations made from your BMI, or body mass index. BMI is simply a weight-to-height ratio. A healthy adult will have a BMI of 18.5 to 24.9. An overweight adult will have a BMI of 25 to 29.9, and an obese adult will have a BMI of 30 or more. And this translates into the following numbers. A 5'9" healthy adult can weigh up to 168 pounds. That same adult, overweight, can weigh up to 202 pounds. And at 203 pounds, this adult is considered obese. While these guidelines are helpful for determining obesity in general, the CDC tells us that a child's weight status is better determined using an age and sex-specific percentile for BMI rather than the BMI categories used for adults. This is because children's body composition varies as they age, and it varies between boys and girls. So, for an example, an 8-year-old boy whose weight is in the 50th percentile will weigh 55 pounds. His obese male friend will weigh 88 pounds. For children, obesity is determined by their BMI being at or above the 95th percentile of that of other children of the same age and sex. Of course, we all know some children who are very petite and still healthy, or, like my daughter, she was as tall as her teacher in 4th grade and still very healthy. It is always good advice to get the help of a healthcare professional when determining the weight status of a child. The health impact of obesity in children is both immediate and far-reaching. Obese children are more likely to have high blood pressure and high cholesterol which are risk factors for cardiovascular disease. In one study, 70% of obese children had at least one cardiovascular disease risk factor, and 39% had two or more. Obese children are at an increased risk of type 2 diabetes, breathing problems such as asthma, and other ailments such as joint problems, gallstones, and heartburn. Obese children are also at a greater risk for social and psychological problems such as poor self-esteem, discrimination, and bullying. The chances are greater for obese children to grow into obese adults rather than healthy adults. It is thought that 8 out of 10 obese children will be obese as adults. This is due to an unhealthy diet and sedentary lifestyle that has been practiced over the course of many years. It is a difficult cycle to break. The long-term effects of obesity in adults include all of the same health perils as in children, but the percentage increases due to the chronic effects of obesity. Non-communicable diseases such as sleep apnea, diabetes, osteoarthritis, stroke, liver and gallbladder disease, some cancers, hypertension, and even infertility can all be directly related to obesity. Almost every healthcare provider knows the struggle it can be to care for people with these diseases. The chronic monitoring, the labs, radiology scans, medication review, the physical and emotional pain of the patients, and even surgeries that some of these people have to endure. It can be devastating. Another devastating aspect is the economical side of obese children. The annual direct cost of childhood obesity in the United States is estimated to be at about $14.3 billion, according to the National Center for Biotechnology Information. These costs come primarily in the form of increased visits to the physician, the hospital, costs for medication, and other forms of therapies, including weight loss programs. As obese adults, these same costs continue to rise and accumulate over time. For an example, the expense of insulin for an obese 14-year-old who is newly diagnosed with type 2 diabetes may cost insurance companies hundreds or even thousands of dollars. If not remedied, that 14-year-old obese child will be 44 years old, an obese adult who still takes insulin. 30 years of insulin must be paid for by someone, not to mention the possible neuropathy and other side effects that diabetes has that have set in. Other economic factors that are the result of adult obesity are decreased productivity while at work, increased absenteeism, higher workmen's compensation claims, more medical claims, higher rates of disability benefit payments, and more sick day call-outs. Overall, both children and adults suffer a loss of QALYS, meaning quality adjusted life years. These are the years that children should be running and playing, and adults should be actively engaged in career opportunities and building a future. The University of California, San Francisco Vinoff Children's Hospital states that although there are treatment options for overweight children, prevention is the key to combating the childhood obesity epidemic. I use this quote as the basis of my nursing intervention. As a community nurse, I can affect the epidemic of childhood obesity in my community by teaching parents and children alike how to make wise choices with their eating habits, exercise habits, personal habits, and develop a lifestyle of good health. This is a primary intervention, nursing intervention. I believe this class could be taught as a segment in prenatal classes, addressing it even before a child is born. It could be taught in parenting classes, PTAs, preschool classes, and anywhere that young families gather. My class would consist of giving All the previous information, addressing both the physical and financial cost of obesity in children and later adulthood. Next, I would offer the following remedies: lifestyle changes and choices. These are to be introduced slowly and practiced consistently over time. First, I would address food choices. For example, do not buy soda. 2 sodas per day can add 10 pounds in a year to your child's weight. Nix the Kool-Aid too. Lots of empty calories, too much sugar. Use caution with juices. Oddly, this is true. If you squeeze a real orange, for instance, you get about a half, maybe a quarter cup of juice from it. But when we pour juice, we usually consume much more than this. And oftentimes the juices we buy are not 100% juice. They are still loaded with empty calories. We must learn to drink more water. Avoid processed foods such as bacon, hot dogs, and lunch meat. Eat tuna fish, peanut butter, and cheese. They are cheaper and they have more nutritional value. Give children a good breakfast. Not donuts and sugary cereals, but eggs, oatmeal, fruit, whole grains. Teach them to like these things from the beginning. Children can be picky, but this may be because we allow them to make their own food choices when they are very young, even as young as 1 and 2 years old. These are critical years to develop good eating habits. Sometimes parents worry that their children won't eat, so they offer them anything that they will eat to get them to eat. But this puts the child in control of their diet. They don't know anything about good eating habits. So if they learn that if they wait long enough or cry hard enough, eventually they'll get their nuggets or fries or whatever they want, this is what they'll do. We must not allow this. Children won't starve. I ran a daycare for many years, and all my children happily ate healthy food that was put in front of them. The foods that they didn't like, they were asked just to take one bite of, just to be sure. Children need to be taught very early how to properly eat food. We don't want to reward children with food or use it to hush them. Do not allow food to become a reward or a weapon. Have healthy snacks available. Children will grab what's convenient. It may be cookies or it may be fruit chunks. They'll take what's available. So put out the fruit chunks. Now let's address exercise. Most children are naturally active and will run and play with all that wonderful energy they have. Sadly, many children don't have a safe outlet for their energy. Gone are the days when kids would ride their bikes out of the neighborhood without their parents worrying. So parents must be creative. More visits to the park, play dates that include lots of movement and use of major muscle groups. Finding local, free, or inexpensive opportunities for activities through school and community agencies can help. Age-appropriate chores are a great way to burn energy. Let the little ones wash windows, sweep floors, pick up toys. Another way to prevent obesity is electronic control. Whether it's the television, computer, cell phone, Xbox, or iPad, put limits on it. Determine this by your family need. Maybe it's an hour a day and 2 hours on weekends. Maybe you'll allow them to be on it after homework, but never on Sundays. Use whatever criteria works for your family. Maybe mom and dad need a rest after dinner, so they allow their children to watch some TV or play on the computer, so there's some downtime. Watch a family movie maybe once a week, but do what's practical for your situation, or you won't do it. Lastly, watch the table of rules. Children will usually self-regulate their appetite. Ordering them to clean their plate is not always wise, but not allowing dessert when they've only eaten 3 bites of soup is wise. Eating smaller meals throughout the day is better than 3 larger meals. This is true for children and adults alike. Snacks should be healthy and treats brought out on special occasions. The professional nurse is educating parents, children, families, and communities about the devastating effects of childhood obesity. School nurses have a vital role in educating students and staff about making healthy lifestyle choices. Community nurses are also advocates by supporting programs that promote wellness for children. This can come in the way of funding for nutritional foods to be provided at schools and child care centers, and advocating for recreational facilities in underserved areas. Community nursing can have a special impact on reversing the rate of childhood obesity in the public setting.